Hello and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy and I am delighted this week to be joined by our gresident, our guest resident, and the twisted mind behind the Stitch Up, the Film Addicts podcast, and Hit 66 Sound and Screen. It is once again Regs. How are you, mate?
Good. Hey, pals. How is everybody? It's good to be back.
Good to have you back.
Thank
it's
you.
wonderful to see you in the flesh. That's not really what it is over the screen.
Yeah. It's been a long time. What was the last one we did? Was Madam Web, wasn't it?
Oh my god.
Oh dear, that fucktastrophe. My goodness.
Oh my god. Did you hear about what Sony is saying about the new Craven movie, which is coming up very, 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 very soon?
They've delayed it again though. Like it's now December or something.
Did you hear why?
I don't know. They want to put Spider-Man in it.
No, they delayed it because they think if they have it in the holiday season, families will see it again and again and again. And I just love the youthful optimism of this naivety.
So who is Sony run by? Like, really? Is it a 14-year-old boy? Like, it can't be. And if that's the case, then the first trailer for that movie looks like it's a hard R. Like, there's heaps of violence and stuff like that. I reckon they're going to go in and recut it and make it PG so they can get a bigger audience.
Maybe they do both. You know how Deadpool had kind of both one time? That one time they did it? Maybe
yeah,
they'll do both.
The
maybe
second
they'll do a good
one
and a really good one.
I don't know if good one and really good one are two, like, phrases that will come up when talking about Craven, for crying out loud. I'm keen. I'll see whatever.
You're going to have to come back and do that one with us because the Madam Web one was just hilarious. I remember our complete indifference to that movie.
It was, and you know what I'm like? I'm super positive. I love everything, and I just couldn't find it. I couldn't find it in there, you know?
I'm so excited to talk about today's movie then, because I know how positive you are. I know how much you love movies and stuff. We may have a difference of opinion on this movie we're going to be talking about.
Okay, all right.
I'm excited to see what you think about it.
You're more human than ape, okay?
Oh, well, of course I absolutely more accurate. How have you been, buddy? What's been happening? I see you've got a new podcast season coming out. Why don't you give us a little spruik for your podcast and tell us everything?
Sure. So season 3 of the Film Addicts podcast started. Thank you very much. Very excited to be back on it. Kicked off with like a look back episode at season 2, which was fun. Got to chat about the wonderful shows that we've been on and people we've had on, and the Dune episode in particular Dune 2 was a highlight with all the nonsense that went on there. Go and check that out.
I think I was telling you this off air. My partner was in the room next to us while we were recording that, and she honestly turned around and said to me when I walked out of the room, like, did you actually talk about the movie?
Not really. No.
I don't think we did.
Not in a substantial way, no. It wasn't so much a review as it was two guys making fucking dick and asshole jokes for the entire thing.
And another person sitting there going, who are these idiots?
Yeah, exactly. But that's, that's what our fans have come to expect, so.
Right, and I expect nothing more or less. Somewhere in the middle. Aquaman.
But it's been good. And we've got on June 1st, we took a month off, and then our June 1st episode it's actually a syncable commentary track for...
Wait, your June 1st episode?
No. June with a J. June 1st episode is a syncable commentary track to Jaws.
Oh, very nice.
Which was very fun, which we had to record twice because halfway through the first time recording, we realized Addy was watching a longer version than I had. So he's like, what are you talking about? All these things aren't happening. And he's like, all these extra things are happening.
You should have just carried on. That would have been hilarious.
It would have been so irritating to me, like, the Jaws purist over here. It was just a shitty director's cut that had all the deleted scenes re-added to it.
Right.
You got to go OG.
You got to just deal with those. You've just got to get on with it.
I've never seen that version either. I don't think I want to.
Oh, really?
No.
I've seen Jaws so many times. It's one of those movies that, and I talk about this a lot, when I was a kid, obviously, we're slightly older than maybe some people who listen to podcasts these days.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, we used to have like a cupboard drawer that was full of like VHSs. And I don't know, probably from the ages of 4 right through to maybe 10, 11, when DVD started to like become a real thing. My life was just around this set of like VHSs we had. So Indiana Jones, I think that was taped on 2 sides of a VHS tape, as in like we had...
I don't think that's how VHSs work, buddy, but whatever.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. What I mean is we had 2 in like one box.
Oh, right.
The 2 boxy ones?
Yeah.
I completely got that wrong. I didn't mean taped on 2 sides. We had a two VHS thing.
Okay.
We're not talking about audio here.
No.
We had Indiana Jones. We had Star Wars. I remember I had a weird Queen live video. For some reason, it wasn't the one everybody loves. It was a different one.
Sure.
For some reason. But like I had all these random ones, and Jaws was one of them. So I grew up with this handful of movies, watching them over and over and over and over again. and it's really broken my brain. I mean, it's really given me a good indication of the type of movies I like.
Yeah, it sets the mark for where you are.
Yeah.
I remember watching at my aunt and uncle's house. They had a series of VHSs, and one of them was 2001: A Space Odyssey. And when you're a kid, the monkey part's great, funnily enough, and the rest of it I just turn off. But the remember saying during the recording of the commentary to Addie, I would be like, "This is where an ad break would go," because I remember taping it off TV.
Right. And we had another one that I watched when I was way too young. We had the Terminator 1. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago as a thing I'd been up to with DL. And I remembered where all the ad breaks were supposed to be.
Yep.
And there's so many little things in that movie that I'd missed because I think the ad break I'd be more focused like on fast forwarding and missing little bits of it. It's so stupid.
Try to do your editing. Yeah, that's a horror movie in my opinion. Like that is a proper horror movie.
Absolutely a horror movie.
Yeah. Rules.
There's so many things about that are like terrifying. And I probably watched it when I was like 4 or 5, like way too young to see that film.
That's ridiculous.
I would say though, Terminator 2, much like Home Alone 2, I think it's better than the first one.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and I feel like from a technical standpoint, it definitely, bridged some gaps between where they were then and where we are now. But I still like number one better. I just think it's a better story.
It's a great movie. It's a fantastic movie. I just like the flip on the character, and I was too young to know about it'd been ruined in the trailers that Arnold Schwarzenegger was a good guy in this one. I was too young to even know that. So I just watched this movie being like, holy shit, this dude who I know is a terrifying cyborg is now the good guy.
Yeah. It was a juggernaut of a film when it came out. Like you couldn't not see it. It was everywhere.
Bloody amazing. I'm not sure how we got to this point in time, but I'm good too. Thank you for asking. I've been wonderful. I've been gallivanting around Europe with usual co-host of the show, DL, who is now married. I can officially say it's happened. We'll celebrate him next week when he's back on the podcast. But screw him, he's on his honeymoon. We're here to talk about fun things. But we had a great old time. I managed to get a little bit of a tan. You probably can't see it.
That's a colonialist tan though. You go from pale blue to white. That's what happens.
Yes, I no longer blend in with things that are white tables, for example. But it was a really fantastic time, really beautiful. We went to a couple of places. We had his, depending on where you're from, Bucks Bachelor Stag Do. We had it in Prague. A couple of days of my life I shall never ever get back. We then went to Greece for the wedding, which was beautiful. Tune into our next week's episode whenever DL's back. We'll tell you more about that. And then me and the partner did a couple of days in Lake Como, which was beautiful. And also the euro is significantly stronger than the Australian dollar right now, so it was very expensive.
You were bling bling and ching ching.
Absolutely
amazing. No, where's Lake Como?
None of the above. In Italy. Yeah.
That's in Italy. Okay, right. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, really beautiful part of the world. Except it rained the most time. I felt like I was very at home. That's what I'm used to. I was like, this is normal to me. Like, what's happening?
It was like at home, but better food, probably.
Exactly. I mean, the food was phenomenal. Even in Greece, I've eaten more bread in the last 2 weeks than I've ever eaten in my entire life. Like, genuinely. I don't even know how. I feel like I am a big piece of bread right now.
I didn't want to say you look a bit puffy, but you do. You look a bit puffy. Put on some water weight, mate.
It's not. It's carb weight.
It's carbs, yeah.
It's all carbs. Well, while we were across there, actually, I wanted to ask you this question. One of the friends of the show, Joe, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Joe. Holy shit.
He sent us a meme, and I love when you guys send us memes. Send us news, send us reviews. That's what we say. He sent us a meme, and the meme just said, and I wanted to ask you this specifically, because I know that you're a big movie nerd. You nerd.
Whatever, we win, mate.
Right, it's very true. If you could be cast in any movie from history, which would it be and why?
Duck Soup. The Marx Brothers picture. It's also
why?
Because it just looks like it would be such a blast. Like those guys all they would do is just set up a camera and have these guys just go. And I remember seeing it for the first time and thinking, if I had a time machine that could take me back to movie sets, this would be the first place I'd go.
Right. That's fantastic.
I find it so it's the reason why people made cameras, was to capture joy and frivolity and silliness. And Groucho is just such an outstanding performer. Everybody else is as well, but him in particular, just to be in the room with that happening as an extra or whatever, one of the people in the court there or whatever it is. I'd love it.
That's so funny. Mine's actually not terribly dissimilar. Someone asked me second question while I was away, like, what are your top 3 movies of all time? Difficult to always come to an answer to, but one that always seems to sneak in there is Monty Python Quest for the Holy Grail.
Mhm.
So similar vibe in that it just like they obviously had a really good script and they had like fantastic people working on it, but like the ending is just the perfect like concoction of all the nonsense that those guys are likely to come up with. They ran out of money, so they just stopped the film and got arrested. It like amazing, like absolutely fantastic. And just being around some of my comedy heroes would have been perfect. But that's really interesting. I didn't know what you'd have gone with for that. You've got such diverse movie taste.
I do, yeah. The other one that would be good in that vein, I think, would be Blazing Saddles.
Okay, all right.
Because it is such a huge, like, ridiculous comedy. Like, I know now some of the jokes in it are dated and there's some, you know, nomenclature and stuff in there that we don't like, and that's cool, but it's still a very good comedy. And that last act where all the fourth wall breaks down and they go into the dancing bit and, you know, there's all these people here, and like that'd be pretty fun too. Anything that would be fun to be on the set of. I wouldn't want to go on the set of Jaws. Like, I love the movie, but it would be a fucking nightmare to make, you know?
I don't want to go on any set that Alfred Hitchcock was in charge of, or maybe James Cameron, because he sounds like in his early films, James Cameron just tried to kill everyone.
Yeah, he was pretty rough on people, I think. Oh, he's kind of mellow in his old age, though.
He seems to have. Maybe Avatar 3 I'll be on the set of. Maybe I'll do that.
Fingers crossed, man.
Something about fire? I don't know. Guys, if you want to stick around, feel free to do so. But if you want to jump around in the podcast, there will be time codes, as always, in the description, supplied by friend of the show and editing master, Mr. Matthew Bliss of Blissery.fm. Stick around to the end of the show. We will give you his details. But one question I had for you, Regs, while I've got you, if you had, and you have to, if you had to give this podcast a rating out of 5 stars, what would you
11.
give?
It's 11. I'm sorry. It's
11.
11. You have to give it 5, then give it 5, and then give it 1, like I said before, just to keep the algorithm kind of neat.
Of course, yeah. Keep it guessing. So you would go in, you'd get 2 people's phones and add 5 stars. That's fantastic.
I've literally taken people's phones off them, gone into Spotify. I'm not even joking. That's not a joke. I've done it. I've gone, hey, do you got Spotify? And gone on and go, click. I don't do it for my own podcast.
Amazing.
I do it for yours. Why have a podcast assemble? What's this? I'm just listening to the shits, all right? I'm on it.
Yeah, just follow it. It's fine. We appreciate you, Regs, and we appreciate you all when you do that for us. It really helps with, you know, algorithms, things that we pretend to understand, but we really don't. Regs, talk to me, mate. What have you been up to?
Oh, man, it's been a busy pod week.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, I didn't think of myself as a podcaster. And then Addy was talking about it when we were launching season 3, and he's like, yeah, you are. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I kind of am.
Yeah.
In the last week...
You're a podcast slut.
That is what I literally...
Called it out.
Don't do the finger thing.
Don't you? I see you over there. Mm-hmm.
Like we're on, what was that show? Where they would like reveal, and the baby is not yours.
Jerry Springer?
Jerry Springer, thank you. I feel like we're on that all of a sudden.
Jerry.
Exactly. No, the wonderful Juan and Kike from the Till the End of the Line podcast had me and Addy on for
fabulous
their roundup episode of X-Men 97.
Talk to us about Till the End of the Line podcast. I don't know. I have never met those guys.
They're very cool dudes. A couple of guys from Chicago, and they're just big nerds. They do it. It's a YouTube show. And so they have a camera set up in their studio, which is adorned with all manner of geeky paraphernalia and Funko Pops. And Juan was showing me the other day. He had he's got a replica of Deadpool's billy clubs.
Ah, beautiful.
So cool, man.
You love that as well. You love Deadpool.
Oh, I do. I'm a big Deadpool fan. And
Deadpool?
But yeah,
I know you're a fool.
Deadpool that would be my superhero name, actually.
Yeah.
I don't last. It's one issue and I die at the end.
Yeah.
Because there's something stupid, like I choke on an almond or something fucking crap, you know?
Please can we make that? Anyone out there who listens to this, who listens to the Stitch Up or the Film Addicts podcast, who's hearing this and wants to do some artwork for us around Regs being a superhero, it can be 4 panels. We will pay you. That would be amazing. I just want to see this. This would be fantastic.
Deadpool and 4 panels, and I get hit by some sort of a bike messenger or something. Something crap.
Oh, you know what it is? It's the first panel. It's panels of the first scenes from the Deadpool movie. The first one, where he's sat on the bridge and then he jumps off into the car.
Yeah.
Except when he jumps off, he just hits the ground and dies.
So what would actually happen? Yeah, that's good. Just do a realistic version of that whole first scene. Yeah.
Oh, amazing with you. That'd be fantastic.
The End of the Line guys. It's just a nerd show basically. They do mostly nerd stuff. Like they do wrap ups of TV shows and talk about.
Shout out to the End of the Line
DC.
guys. We'll get in touch and say hello. You should check them out if you fancy listening to Regan on something different. You were on another podcast though as well, weren't you?
Yeah, we did our record as well for the Jaws commentary, but the day before
you've had your chance. Tell me about other fun things.
I'm just trying to work out the timeline here. On the Monday, I recorded with the guys from Sequel Suck podcast.
Amazing.
And they had another guest host on as well, Hannah, who is Whiskey Girl on Instagram. And she just talks about movies and really nice whiskey to drink. She was really cool. And we talked about Batman Returns, which is not only my favorite superhero movie, but my favorite Batman movie as well. Had a great time on that show. You can see that's on YouTube as well. And thanks to the pals Angus and Cable for having me on there. It was we haven't done it in like a year. It was like a year like from the last episode that we had on that Monday, which was Temple of Doom, I think. So yeah, I've been podding slutting around, mate.
Yeah, you've been throwing it about.
I'm just waiting for you to get back, is what it is. This is me. Yeah. This is me. I'm Jake Gyllenhaal in Brokeback Mountain, not waiting for Heath Ledger to come up to the mountain with me. I'm getting a little bit of, bit in Mexico. What's
you're getting
going
antsy. I see what you're doing there. I see. You need to get it out there. You need to spread that seed, spread that podcast seed. I get where you're coming from. It's funny you mentioned X-Men 97 in that, because that's something that I finished while I was away.
Yep.
So I obviously had a couple of really bloody long plane rides trying to get across to Prague and blah, 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 and etc. And I finished the series and I bloody loved it. What did you think?
It's so good. It's probably one of the best things that Marvel Studios has done, honestly.
And I think that's really reflecting. It's getting great reviews everywhere out there. It's just such interesting, fantastic storytelling about a group of characters who all different, but all have this mutual bond, and they're fully formed. It's chef's kiss. Mwah.
It was really, and it's obviously, back in the day when they were making those cartoons, it was to sell toys, and Len Wein was pumping them out, and it was just kind of whatever. But there was obviously some care being taken, but it's people who grew up fans of that show and want to take it seriously. And we've also had the evolution of 25, 30 years of storytelling on TV, prowess kind of cobbled together for it, And
not even just on TV, in the comics as well. The comics have matured, and the comics have taken on whole new, realms of X-Men stories, and they burn through a lot of X-Men stories in this one.
They do, there's 3 or 4 different arcs going on at the same time, but it was just it was grown up. It was for people who take storytelling seriously, and I dug it a lot.
And that's something that I really, 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 really hope that the MCU takes out of this. One thing that you see a lot with, and maybe not quite so successfully, but with DC, is they tend to trial a lot of the stuff that they're going to put into, their movies, in their cartoons, or their animated shows, or even the comics, to see how people react to them. And if people react well, they'll bring that coolness and that awesomeness into the movies. And I really hope that's what comes out when they finally make an X-Men movie. The X-Men could have been in this world forever, or they could come through from multiverse, whatever. I want them to be fully formed characters. I don't want you to give me the origin of Wolverine again. I've seen it multiple times. I don't need that. Make Scott Summers competent and not a piece of cardboard. You know what I mean? Give me rich characters. And I bet Addy fucking loved it, didn't he?
He was just over the moon. Every time an episode came out, he was sending meme after meme after meme.
Addy's Instagram has just been just a wash of this.
Yeah, he loves it, and it's so great because having being a person of color, feeling represented in a way as well. It's been great for him.
Says the 2 white guys on a podcast.
I said that the other day. I was on a podcast with 2 Hispanic guys, Juan and Kike and Addy, and I was talking about X-Men being great for representation. Fucking old milquetoast here.
Yeah. I often talk about diversity on this podcast, and I loving diverse casts and the movies we talk about. Then I'm like, I am the whitest man here, aren't I?
And in most rooms you would be, despite the tan.
Literally, I'm pasty. Give me another thing, buddy. What else have you been up to?
That's a lot of it, actually. My fiance got back from Sydney. She's been on tour up there for 7 weeks. So she got back, which is good. And we're planning our end of year. We're doing a big end of year trip to the Canada and the States as well. So we were
the Canada,
yeah. We were planning that today.
Are you going to see the Wolverine while you're there?
I certainly hope not. Actually, that's one thing I was doing. I'm reading. There is was a published, but it was an unmade screenplay for the Wolverine that Christopher McQuarrie wrote. So the guy who wrote the Mission Impossible pictures, the last few of them.
Yeah.
He did a draft of the Wolverine before James Mangold took over and ended up directing that middle one where Wolverine goes to Japan before Logan.
People seem to like that for some reason.
I don't have a problem with it, but this script would have been a much better movie, honestly.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah, it has
Is it more R-rated?
some scenes and stuff. It's just a little bit more like traveling, like a little bit more Ronin, like you know, a sort of traveling samurai kind of idea, and it's R-rated, and you know, Silver Samurai comes into it almost immediately, and it's just.
I'd love to see the Silver Surfer in that movie.
That would have been cool too. A bit out of the sorts for it, but because it's not really his realm. But I dug it a lot.
Didn't they recently cast the Silver Surfer? And it's a woman. Oh my god!
Fuck! Why don't we just
everyone's
all have
losing their freaking minds?
Whatever. I'm tired of the internet.
Yeah, internet. You can have a rest for today. Although, don't stop listening to this because you probably need connection to listen.
Yeah,
to this.
at least.
Well, funnily enough, we also have not been doing a huge amount because obviously we were away. But one thing we did get to do before we went is kind of just hanging on to is Sydney Comedy Festival. It's here, baby. It's happening. Cool. And we saw a very, very funny comedian, a chap by the name of Eli Mathewson, he's a queer comedian, and he just tells incredibly funny, diverse stories. And the reason I find that super interesting is because probably not consciously, but I've definitely only really ever had that much exposure to mostly straight comics. I don't know why. It's not something I've, like I say, consciously done, but like hearing his tales, and he has some great, really funny anecdotes about his dad, and you know how his dad had to mature with him into, you know, understanding his sexuality and stuff. Very funny. I would highly, highly recommend going and checking out Eli Mathewson. Even if you check him out on YouTube, if you can get tickets to him. I think he won show of the festival or something in one of the New Zealand. He's Kiwi in one of the New Zealand comedy festivals. Very, very funny man. Highly recommend.
Right on. Yeah, go and support live comedy because it's
of course,
such an important art form.
We talk about it on the podcast a lot. It's the last bastion. It is right there. It's the last thing.
It's the only people who are allowed to, well, not even allowed to, but it's the only people who have, you know, the chutzpah and the platform to say whatever they want. And, you know, some of them get away with it and some of them don't.
Oh, I mean, well, we say a lot here. You know, it comes down to if it's funny. If the audience is laughing, you know, it's not about getting away with it. It's about not going too far and being a dickhead, but also as long as you're funny.
Yeah, and understanding what the difference between, you know, a joke and you sort of championing your personal opinions is as well, you know what I mean? Like Dave Chappelle can get a bit too much these days.
All right, okay, that's an interesting one. I feel like he's right on that line and has skipped back and forth for quite a long time.
He does, yeah. On purpose.
Probably very much so. Guys, look, we highly recommend you go away and check out X-Men 97. Mm-hmm. Definitely go and check out Till the End of the Line podcast, Sequel Suck podcast. Go follow them on all the social medias. Also, check out Eli Mathewson. He's a very funny bloke. Hit us up if you have any recommendations or anything that you've been doing that we should check out. We are at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. I haven't done this for a while. I'm getting all the cobwebs out. This is fun. I know what I'm doing.
Like riding a bike.
Yeah, hit us up. Memes, news, reviews. We say it every time. We love it when you do. Regs, would you like to preface our main topic this week?
It's the main topic theme.
Yes, I would. It's the return of the Apes. They're back, and
that's the next one. You got to come back for the next one.
Yeah,
the return
sure.
of they're back. They're here. They're back.
They're back. It's monkeys, and it's a good time.
There's a kingdom of them.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I thought was canonical to the original, you know, Charlton Heston picture. All of these, you know, new ones they've made. But my friend Cable from Sequel Suck podcast, who's a huge Planet of the Apes fan, told me that no, this is like a reimagining kind of thing.
Well, we can talk about that. That's interesting. So, interestingly, we'd love you guys to go back and check out. We did the previous trilogy back to back not too long ago. I think around March time. So really not that long ago. And myself and DL, the usual regular co-host, we fecking loved those movies. They were absolutely phenomenal. Like everything from the subtle storytelling, the overarching themes going through the movies. There was so much to get our teeth into, and I was really, really excited to get to this movie. So we're going to do non-spoilers and then we're going to do spoilers for y'all. But do you have a stupido plot summary?
A stupido one? Yes, I do. One thing I must say, though. When did this come out, this movie? Do you remember the date that it was released?
Days ago.
Yeah, so it was like middle of May, let's say.
Yeah.
How the fuck did they not bring it out 2 or 3 weeks earlier and promote it as being released in April? You know what I'm saying? Like
that is the worst dad humor. You've nailed it. You've hit the lowest barrel of the jokes.
They missed the trick. I'm pretty sure they missed the trick on it. Stupid plot summary, I must tell you. It's all monkey business with the business of monkeys taking hold of the franchise as some desperate to win back planet 'twas theirs humans prove once again what a piece of shit species we actually are. A lot of S's in that one, but enjoy.
There are a lot of S's, but I really rate that highly. That's pretty much bang on the money. And I've just realized as you were reading that, I deleted half of mine. So
oh, okay. What's the half you did delete?
And I can't get it back. The half I've got is, "You're not in Kansas anymore, chimpies." And I can't remember where the rest of it went.
That's
so there was
fine.
more to it.
That's totally fine.
There's definitely more. I can't remember, though. So this is from director, as you mentioned, Wes Ball, who is the crazy mind behind the Maze Runner movies. We all know how good those were.
You know what? They're not that bad. As far as YA stuff goes, they're better than a lot out there. Better than the Insurgent, Detergent, Resurgent, or whatever the fuck those ones are.
I was hoping for crickets when I said that. But yeah, you do you, buddy. You do you.
I can go back and do crickets.
I've seen the first one of those films. That's what you think crickets sound like. Great. The cast for this is super interesting. It's really headed up by Freya Allen, who you'll probably know from the Witcher TV show. It's also got Owen Teague, who is Noah. You might know him from It, specifically, or the Black Mirror TV show. There's some really cool actors who I kind of know as... If you've ever listened to The Ring, there's a bunch of those guys in this. So Kevin Durand as Primus Caesar. You will know him from X-Men Origins Wolverine, the bad one we were talking about a moment ago. No, the other one, not the one we were talking about a moment ago. The other one.
The Origins, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some seriously cool people in this. I love all of the... I love the fact, that they've not just gone with some mega stars and gone, let's chuck everyone we can possibly get at this and hope for the best. They've actually thought about the people who they're going to put in this film, and it really shows.
They've gotten great voice actors and great physical actors. Like Peter Macon, who plays Raka, is from the Orville. The sort of it's not really a spoof of Star Trek or whatever, but it kind of is that show.
A little column A, little column B.
Yeah, exactly. It got quite serious in the end there, and then you get a little bit of humanity there with the William H Macy's. Whose IMDb picture has, it is a legacy mustache. Like, seriously, it's such a menace of a mustache.
Trevathan.
Trevathan or whatever it was. But yeah, they've just gotten people who are good, like physical performers, have good voices, and thinking about how they make these movies with the motion capture and stuff like that. People who have good expressive faces, because you've got to get a lot through.
Too right, absolutely. And I'm going to try my absolute best to say all of the names wrong of all the different apes. It seems to be a thing that I'm needing to go with today, like Noir, the main character, and we also Proximus, Caesar. We've got everyone here. It's great.
Caesar, that's terrible. Cleopatra,
you mentioned
and Caesar
before the show that you had a challenger for Goofy IMDb Picture.
Yes, there's two in this.
Now, if anyone who doesn't know, Goofy IMDb Picture, we're not making fun of people. We're not making fun of their appearance. No. What we are saying is, this is your one opportunity to introduce yourself to the world. Why on earth are you choosing this as your picture? And, of course, our current Goofy IMDb legend is Manuel Tadros.
Shut the fuck up.
Can you explain that picture to me?
No, it looks like the fourth place winner in a Welcome Back Cotter, lookalike competition, because he doesn't have the mustache and he's too good looking.
It's such a fantastic picture, and the fact that he has his name in 80s writing across the side, just chef's kiss.
If Sylvester Stallone and Michael Jackson had a baby, that's what that would look like.
I'm sure there's porn of that somewhere. I don't want to get that
deep.
There's
some slash fiction, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not going to win against that.
Well, he was from Beau is Afraid, and at the time he was Cheap Depot Cashier. So who have you brought to the table today, Regs?
Right. Well, the first one was William H Macy. His is fantastic. He's just got this mustached confidence that can't be denied. But he looks like a substitute music teacher who you'd buy weed off. And then the other one is I think it's Shiri DaCosta. She plays Feral Human, which is a great thing to have in your IMDb. this hair is about to take over its own planet. It is just outrageous.
I'm just looking at William H. Macy, and that is a delight.
And the confidence in his eyes, you know?
It's the hair as well. Oh, what a beautiful man. And what was the other one? Sorry, I'm just trying to... Feral Human...
I think it's Shiri DaCosta.
Number 2? Feral Human number 2 is a great idea. Oh, wow, that hair is wild.
Right? I wonder if someone just heard my cat meow then.
Absolutely. Absolute silence from me. Whoever told her that was a good IMDb picture, I'm sorry, they were incredibly wrong.
She has missed the mark there. I mean, unless she was, trying to go for a Medusa role.
What else she been in? Dancing with My Mother? Okay, all right. Risen?
That sounds like a fucking insult, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. She's not been in great films, unfortunately. Now,
maybe it's the hair.
As our gresident for the day, whom are you calling out as the winner of Goofy IMDb Picture?
Oh, sorry, it's got to be the.
It's Manuel.
It's Manuel. That is undeniable. That one. I don't know how that's going to be bested, honestly.
We've had this conversation many times on the podcast. There is a man who he's already won it. He was like one of the first ones we ever chose, and he's kind of the reason behind Goofy IMDb Picture. He's called Ray Buck-Tenica. Now, the picture, when you see it, it's the essence of Goofy IMDb Picture. It's a little bit 80s. You know what he looks like? He looks like a geography teacher who's just taken the best picture he's ever going to take and he's going to use it for the rest of his life. That's exactly what he looks like.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now then, let's talk about this movie. So to set the scene, it is set around 300 years after the final movie of the previous trilogy, so War for the Planet of the Apes. Caesar is but a myth and barely remembered, and basically he's a memory being used almost like a cult or a religion in ape society, striking parallels to propaganda and real life and such like that. But our hero, Noir, is that right? Is that how you say it? Noir is living a peaceful life with his birds, is he not?
He is. It's beautiful, and he's almost like a not a warrior ape, but he's like a leader of this clan in training and has to go through trials, and it's all centered around the fact that this group of this particular tribe of apes is friends with some birds, and they raise eagles or hawks or whatever it is.
With the birds,
yeah, and they use them as sort of like familiars, and you've got to get you've got to train with them and get better at them, and that's kind of like the Chekhov's bird of prey kind of situation that goes on.
100%.
Yeah.
That's straight up, like, talking about this film, it is really difficult not to compare it with the original trilogy, because that is a nigh-on perfect trilogy. Like, it is a hair's breadth away from being absolutely, it's up there with the best trilogies.
Apart from the fact that James Franco's in the first one.
We skate over that. He died, so that makes up for things.
Oh, okay,
right?
cool.
Does it not? Yeah, right. I mean, he's dead. He's technically dead to us in real life. So, like,
yeah,
little column A, little column B.
Career dead.
Yeah. Well, actually, he's going to be coming up at some point in the podcast, so watch out for that.
Okay.
But it is really hard. We're going to try not to compare them too much. But comparisons are kind of inevitable. So to start off with, I just want to know very top level, like, what did you think of this?
I loved it, and I'll tell you why. I can tell you why immediately as well, and it won't take long.
Immediately, tell me.
Well, don't interrupt me then, because it's not going to be immediate then. You're dragging it out yourself. I'm just trying
to eke this out a little bit. Yeah, I'm trying to eke that a little bit longer.
All right, I'll make it a bit longer for you.
Yeah, I love immediately now. If you could tell me now.
If I and then grab it and with fries. No, if I love any sort of type of movie, it is the future set place when nature has taken over. And you see it, you sort of see the apes, at the beginning, they're sort of coming out and climbing. They're climbing, and then you get that beautiful pullback wide shot, and it's just buildings that are now covered in, greenery and foliage and moss and all that stuff. And I love that.
I get it. People are shit. We need to give the planet a chance to rebuild.
There's a part of it that's that, but it's also like cool. No rules, no credit cards, no fucking McDonald's. So I just like the idea of a nice clean slate sometimes. And I think, and also, I really love the other films. I think they're remarkable pieces of work, and they're clearly it's the best use of computer generated imagery that has been 100%. Done on ever. Like, and its integration with actual natural elements. I love the story centered on the apes. I think that's much more interesting because I know human stories. I am one. I have been for 42 years. I don't understand what the struggle of an ape is, and then I can look at it and go, I can look at it and go, wow, I'm an old ape. No, I can look at it and go, yes, I understand that, we're all the same,
The parallels, I do. I completely agree with you, and I think having a direction in this which follows predominantly the apes. Let's be quite frank with you. Like there is one, maybe two humans who are in this a fair amount. I'd say it's a much more interesting story to me. However, there is no easy way to say this. I was bored.
Oh, you ape racist!
I know, right? I'm an ape racist. I don't know. And I get literally, and now this may be the slight jet lag still talking, because I am still jet lagged. I'm not going to lie about that. But there was a part of the movie when they were doing the thing that every fucking movie in the world's been doing and TV show's been doing, where they did The Last of Us, where they will have to walk from one city to another, and I lost it. I was almost asleep at that point. I was like, this is everything I've seen for the last 3 years. I've seen The Last of Us. It's better than this. I don't need you to do it again. I've seen The Road. I don't need it again. It's like, for me, the problem I had with this movie, straight up, like, everything about it, technically phenomenal. Like you say, nothing quite gets to the level of CGI these movies do. Like, Weta, the best in the business. Like, they had 946 million threads of hours worth of rendering going, which is wild. That's too much rendering. And each ape has over 1 million hairs each. Like, it's absolutely wild. But it is just the classic hero's tale. It doesn't diverge from that. It literally, it's almost they picked up the hero's tale and went, okay, he's an ape, he does this, he meets and all. You know what I mean? Like, it just followed the beats. And I was like, I knew what was gonna happen at every turn. Like, you could tell just by how it was written. And that's not a bad thing, having a good idea of what's gonna come, but I don't think it pushed any boundaries the way the original ones did.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, it's not treading over any new ground. No. But maybe it was a place that it in, and yeah, you're right. It's the Joseph Campbell hero with 1,000 faces idea, and maybe at the time that I watched it, I was there for it. Like, I knew what was happening. I'm like, yeah, that's probably going to happen here, and that's going to end up there, and that'll be what behind that door. And like, I was following it all, but I was enjoying the ride. I didn't ask anything of it.
Definitely, and I enjoyed the earnestness of it. Like, that's one thing in my movies that I find really pisses me off about all films that come out right now. I don't feel like movies are earnest. They don't fit. I feel like I'm watching an actor acting. I don't feel like I'm watching a person in a situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very rare that you see a Marvel movie and you think, that's a person in a situation. Ever since, I don't know, we're talking Civil War or whatever. But like this, it had that earnestness that I love, and the storytelling had a grittiness to it that really worked for it. And like, these are all things that I genuinely really enjoyed about the film, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I kind of got a bit bored in it, and I didn't want to think that. And like, I terrorized my partner, and I went into this zero expectations, just knowing that I loved the original ones and hoping for more of what happened in those three. And I terrorized my partner at the end, and she's got a really high tolerance for crap films, and even she was like, I was kind of bored.
Yeah, there's a little sort of second act drag, absolutely.
Definitely,
it also
100%.
Introduces Raka, who I thought was he's the
fabulous character.
Yeah, like just so great, and he is the counterbalance to the like weaponizing of Caesar's memory that Proxima Caesar does, in that he is using it to create the zealots. He's using it to radicalize people, whereas the spiritual nature of it and Caesar's original message Raka has. So it's almost like two opposing religions or dichotomies or whatever that I felt like you didn't need that. Like you don't have to put that kind of interesting sort of spiritual element into your film. They could have just been a good guy and a bad guy, but I really liked that they took time to develop the fact that over those years, the image of what Caesar was and his messaging has been distorted in both degrees.
I did like that too. That's one of the things I really enjoyed about the film. Absolutely. Raka was no substitute for Maurice, though. I just wanted more Maurice.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Give me the Maurice back. I love Maurice. No, I really, you're right. And there were all these intricate threads that were wound through, and yeah, like I don't know what it was. Could have been the jet lag. It just didn't hit me the same way the other ones did. But good characterization. This, like you say, loved the world they're building here. It is obviously 300 years in the future. Very little remains of like the human civilization. It definitely evolves the story, I think, and like the apes are evolving, almost somewhat reminiscent of like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. They are becoming their own thing. They're building their own societies, and you can see that in when you see what were they, the bird tribe? I don't know what they're called. The bird tribe's initial structures that they created to live in. It was quite reminiscent of that second Dawn of the Planet of the Apes movie.
Yeah. And I also like how the language has not developed as much as you would think it would. Like,
yeah.
They are still animals. They're still,
Yeah.
you know, creatures who limit their vocabulary. in order to
Now,
be able
who's the
to-
ape racist?
Well, I'm just being like, you would, in that kind of environment and under those circumstances, you would remove anything that isn't useful. You know, you don't
Necessary.
pepper things in,
totally.
like, you know, and be lyrical about it the way that we are.
There would be no podcasts.
There'd be not a single podcast ever. And if they'd be short as shit, and they'd all be about
couldn't-
eagles.
You couldn't hoe yourself out to anyone.
No one would want to talk to me. He uses too many big words. This fucking white dickhead. which might be what some of my podcasting friends say about me behind my back.
I mean, I certainly do. I also really like the Proxima Caesar's kingdom as well. The idea of Proxima Caesar itself, you know, like the next Caesar, I find fascinating in the fact that he really bigged himself up. He thought he was the dog's bollocks, this guy. And the kingdom, in quotation marks, he creates. It's strange because it's created from all human things, but he thinks he's evolving past humans and he wants whatever is in the human vault. So we're going to hold off spoilers for this for a little bit, but he wants to get to whatever's in the vault. That's kind of the crux of this Proxima Caesar story, which is interesting because he's trying to set himself apart from his species by being more like the humans when really they won by being apes.
Yeah, exactly. That's and the way that, again, history can distort based on what is useful to whoever it is, whether
Right.
you're a zealot or, you know, a spiritual Taoist-like centered ape person. You're always going to misread the history of things in that way, and also
Right.
like.
Well, I mean, the winners always write the history books, right? So
Exactly. Yeah. History is written by those who prevail, and
the victors.
yeah, and it was the apes, and they got to make their own way. And but also like that, there's tribes, there's different ways of being, and they have a primitive existence, but it's sophisticated enough that they have been able to cultivate relationships with other living creatures in a functional way. I just love the like you're always going to cinematography and world building. The world building here I loved, like especially moving past, you know, setting it 300 years after war is a fucking really good idea because not only is it a fresh start, it allows you to show things you haven't seen yet, you know?
Yeah, and one of the things that director Mr. Balls said was that he was really reticent. He was hesitant to take on the movie because after you've got this like nigh on, like I say, perfect trilogy, like how do you do something a bit different? Like if you just continue the story, much as I would like to see more Maurice, I don't think it'd work. I feel like it would, you know, and then he saw that in this too. And when the idea came to him of setting it 300 years later, that's when he got fired up by the project. He was like, let's fucking do this. Let's bring in a Proxima Caesar, who is a big bad guy. And by the way, it was a really, really good performance.
Oh, Kevin Durant. In fact, Steve Sadak from the We Hate Movies podcast in his Letterboxd review said, whenever Kevin Durant's not on screen, the movie slows down a lot. And he doesn't appear until like an hour in.
Right. More probably.
Yeah. So captivating.
How long was this movie?
He's such a great fucking actor. He's just so great.
Completely agree. I'm surprised he's not in more stuff.
He pops up in a lot, but it's sort of, you know.
He's a bit of a that guy. Like I say, he's a that guy.
Bit of a
That's kinda
character
who he
actor,
is.
you know?
100%. I got to say, though, one of the elements of the movie that I did not find almost at all compelling was the Freya Allen performance. May, Nova, whichever she's called. Nova. She just didn't do it for me. Yeah, she was this like stoic, playing a silent type. She didn't want to give too much away. You know, at the beginning she acts all scared. It didn't hit home for me, and much like in the Witcher series, I didn't find her compelling in that either. I'm not sure.
So it's more the actor than because I don't think the role is. I don't think that particular role is written like she's a stand-in for all of the ideas, and that's the thing as well. I can't figure out if they're trying to be like the humans are right. They should have the planet back. Nova's right. It was theirs. Like, I don't know if that's the messaging.
Simple story.
Yeah, like
give it up, guys.
And to do what? To go back to what? I just don't understand.
Right, exactly. And there's some interesting ideas with the William H. Macy character and etc. Like humans. There are some intelligent humans left, but like he's obviously in servitude and etc. etc. I'm not sure what they're trying to drive towards.
I think he's like, he's the one there's always one. You know what I mean?
He is the one.
He's the one who always, like a collaborator. It happens in whenever there is a conflict, there are people who yield to.
Well, they had it in War for the Planet of the Apes, where they had gorillas working with the humans.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So I think that's an important story to tell. But again, the human aspect of this film is the weakest part of it.
I'm just thinking about this over here, and like, tell me if I'm mad. Tell me if I've gone ape. Sorry, did that. This certainly starts off.
Hang on a second.
I had to go there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the joke; it was the look of fucking satisfaction on your face. Like,
you'll never see that. I was like, I got it. I did it. I won the jokes for the episode. What could I say?
I got ape in there. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
I did it, guys. No, when this movie starts off, and certainly for the first maybe, I don't know, half an hour of this before the attack on Noir's village, there's a lot of like YA tropes in this, and they kind of follow through. Like, they're not necessarily slammed in your face like some YA movies do, but they certainly hold true. And he, Noir does seem to be, I know I'm going to say that wrong all the whole time, just for you, does seem to be a bit of a Gary Sue. Like, he seems to just get through things almost by accident all the time. And that big trope is a big trope of YA. And it kind of, maybe that's why I disconnected with this after a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really earn his stripes until the end, and like the literal end. And I can understand that. But I mean, it's also, again, that's the hero's trial. Like, the by the time he gets to that second act turn, he has to get there in order to be able to have that happen. So, by accident or whatever, that's where you end up.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question. Okay, so we take the three key ones out. We take out Noir, we take out Proximus César, and we also take... Why am I doing this? We take out Raka.
Keep it up.
I don't know. I'm just going to...
Treat yourself.
Name me one of the other characters in this. Anyone.
Well, Trevathan was, but that was more the issue. Yeah, I don't remember the other apes' names and stuff. I did think that the performance of the whoever played Noah's mother was really good. Like,
Sarah Wiseman. Actually, thinking about it, yeah, you're right. There were a couple of other standout performances. I will certainly give you that. She was particularly good in this. I just, nothing stood out to me. Nothing, like, even the two buddies he had, the female ape and the male ape, and the male ape had his little turn at the end. None of it, it just felt done.
Yeah, it was very consumable, and
right.
Like, I remember imagery and certain scenes and things like that, but it wasn't like when I first saw Rise.
Is it imagery you remember? Is it the stuff that's from the original movies, like the window? The what's it? The original Caesar's window you used to look out of. So it's like a circle with a diamond. Stuff like that. It's all stuff from the original movies, and that's why, for me, that's why it's memorable. And maybe I'm being a bit mean to this.
No, I mean, if that's how you feel about it. I just remember seeing the end of Rise when Caesar screams no, and I felt physically shook. Like, there was no moment of that, or walking out of war and feeling like actually hurt that a bunch of zeros and ones that were put in order to look like a monkey made me cry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was powerful. This wasn't powerful, but it was, I really love these movies. Like, I really love the Apes movies.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. And it's one of those movies that I will absolutely see the next one, regardless of whether this is, a little Aquaman in my eyes. I am more than happy to go and see the next one. Like, I absolutely will. And these are sleeper hits. These do really well at the box office.
They do.
Because it has so much to it, and they give them enough time to make it look good, and they don't rush the process, which is, that's like music to a creative's ears. I love hearing that. It's like, let's take our time. Let's make this right. Let's do a good song. And like, okay, sure, this one maybe didn't quite hit the mark, but the next one probably will for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always down to see the next one.
There is not, in terms of its technical prowess, there is not a weak shot Like it
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
absolutely in no time did I ever go, I know that these are fake. Like I know that these are fake, but I didn't.
Yeah, even the action was amazing.
Yeah, and you couldn't, you sort of see the like they kind of blur things, or they change a digital lens to make it a little bit easier for them to animate. There's no shortcuts here. Like this is just the peak of that this type of work. Yeah,
absolutely. Speaking of action, very quickly before we move on to tones and themes, pretty solid. Like all of it was, like there were scenes when they were having fights in the river, and like all of that is animated. All like the way the light reflects off the water on the apes, phenomenally done. Like the Weta guys, they're the best in the business.
I think that's the key too, as well. You said, the water that gets on them. It's the elemental adjustment to a texture or, a body type or whatever that makes all the difference, when...
Well, I think it's the thought put into it, like you say, the water, but then the light reflects off the water.
Exactly.
There are so many extra layers, and they think about every single one of them, and that's what makes them the best, right?
Yeah, and there was no sort of scene where I was going, that's a plate that they've shot, or that's completely CG. Like, I don't know.
Plate of food?
A plate, yeah. No, like a plate, like an empty plate for them to then add CG to, you fucking imbecile, you commoner, you.
This is why I'm here. I'm here to derail.
Yes, well.
What do you want from me?
Derail. But it's. I was never looking at an element and thinking to myself, that's been generated somewhere. I was just kind of in it, which says a lot,
Bananas.
It is. That was so bananas it made me cough. That joke. That was how bad it was. Okay, moving on to not bananas.
What are your tones and themes, man? Let's swing this on to spoilers.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's how history can be distorted in order to either radicalize the weak-minded or to liberate people who are strong-minded. Especially when it comes to a messianic figure that has been, legitimately deified, and he was just a person, even though he was an ape person. Legacy is pretty strong in
that's
this.
One of mine. I had the legacy thing. There's interesting parallels between the main character Noah. I will stop doing that now. There's an interesting parallels between Noah, who is, I've got this down here somewhere. He's from the same species as Caesar, effectively. So there's potential that he could be Caesar's distant relation through the Cornelius character, which was the final of Caesar's bloodline, which survived in the last film. So that idea, I like that that's not slammed in your face, like that sort of legacy, and that you know what, we've just bloody hit the nail on the head of what this fucking trilogy is going to be. We're going to find out over the next two films that he is the descendant of Caesar, so he is the champion, he's the leader. And that's going to unfold as the movies happen, and I've just ruined it for us. Sorry.
Oh, fuck, I'm not going to go see the next movies over 10 years then. I know.
You don't need to see it now. You know what's going to happen.
But even if they don't do that, like by nature alone, or, sometimes you don't choose your family in the sense that, well, sometimes you do choose your family, like he could take that messaging and become whatever he wants to become. That's part of the hero's journey as well. But I also meant legacy in the sense that, he becomes his father. Like, the son becomes the father and the father becomes the son. It's that kind of Ouroboros like thing, that stories tend to do. But
remember, he can be whatever he wants to be. If he doesn't want to be his father, he can be a drag queen. He could be
a drag ape.
He could be William H. Macy. He can be whatever he wants.
He could grow a mustache.
You do you, Noah.
You do you, mate. Maybe he just wants to dance.
And if the boy don't dance, then they're no friends of mine. All right. 3 best and 3 worst. Battle. Hit me up. And I wanted to call out last time I was on your podcast for your Dune episode with friend of the show, Addy, as well. You were very willing, because I know how positive you guys are, to give us the opportunity to do 3 best and 3 worst. So I'd love to hear what you think about this movie.
Sure. Well, the other theme, just while we're on it, was
apologies.
Human being. Humans really are shit apes, and I'm on board with that. So 3 best.
Never a true word spoken.
We're the worst. 3 best is the ecological messaging. It's so strong in all of these films. Nature taking back the planet, like I find that really compelling, and it's a pod of whales in Hudson Bay in Endgame. You know what I mean? Like the idea that we are holding this thing, that we're strangling it it can't be said often enough, especially in movies.
So don't you kink shame the Earth. Maybe it's what the Earth's into. I mean, some people like that. Maybe they like a bit of strangling. Like don't you dare.
No shame to the Earth at all. Like, but I mean, you got to think about like caterpillars consume their environment, I guess, but we're not caterpillars.
We're mostly plastic by this point, to be fair.
Yeah, well, definitely some parts of us. That was like a fake boob joke, and it didn't really work. You know what I mean?
I thought you were going down the route. Apparently, this week they found they did a study and found something like, I can't remember how many people were part of the study, but in every single one of the males, there was microplastics in their testicles. I thought that's the way you were going with that joke, but absolutely not.
God.
You're thinking about macroplastics.
I need to read the news more often and wonder just how much of my balls is, Toy Biz figurines. My God.
Mate, we're all turning back into dinosaurs, and I'm here for it.
It's slowly but surely. So ecological messaging, absolutely. The CG is hands down the best in the business. Like, you can't beat it, man. Like this, and you talk to any animator in the world, this is the show that they go, that is the one,
Absolutely.
And you said you didn't like it. I love the journey road movie trope. I really love it. That being the nature of the story. I love a travel. The road's a great example as well. The Shirley. I dig it. I dig it a lot. Do you want me to do you going to do your best?
I'll do best very quickly. I obviously had the CGI, like you mentioned. I had the earnestness and the grittiness of the storytelling. I think we talked about that a little bit. I think if these had any hint of this is an actor acting, this would not work. So it has to be 100% earnest. And just finally, I like the idea that they just went, fuck it, let's go 300 years in the future. Like, I like that they were bold. They were brash with this. They were like, you know what? That story is done. Let's move on. Even though we've already spoiled what the next two movies are going to be.
It could have been a straight sequel. And it almost was like when it, in the cold open. I'm impressed by their chutzpah.
Their plastic ballsiness. What is your three worst?
Plastic ballsiness. Oh, heavens. Three worst. Some of the themes are a little muddled. Are we supposed to be rooting for the humans? Because the first two acts tell us that we're not supposed to be rooting for the humans.
That's actually one of mine. Absolutely.
Won't get into spoilers, but the third act, the end of the third act, and you're like, hang on a second, what the fuck? Killing Raka, you motherfuckers. Killing Raka?
They just
why don't you just fucking kill, Yoda immediately?
Kill a puppy on screen.
Yeah, why don't you just kick a puppy to death, you sons of bitches? But that was rough. I thought he was going to come back. Sorry, guys.
He might do a Gandalf the White and come back in the next one. Spoilers for Lord of the Rings.
Spoilers for this too. Like we didn't say spoilers before. That kind of ruins one of them. Sorry.
Well, we're not in spoilers yet, but that's all right.
Apologies.
If you're still listening at this point, guys, we're sorry.
Yeah, apologies. And also, anyone who isn't a monkey in this film isn't very good. William H. Macy, okay, but he's William H. Macy, so he's great. But
didn't love him in this. Yeah, like you say, mine. What was the one I agreed with from you? I forgot which one.
All of them. All of them, mate.
Well, the other ones were, I just found it a bit boring, and I can't help that's how I felt. And there weren't that any really interesting arcs to me in this film. Like, everyone in it had an arc, but it just, like I say, it followed the hero's journey for the most part. Everyone around it followed the stereotype tropes of that journey. So yeah, it didn't spoil me in ways I would have liked it to. But before we move on, what we do is we talk about we talk about ratings for this, what's coming out, and then our rating system. So can you guess me right now what the IMDb score is for this?
What's this one out of again?
10. 10T5.
And point something?
It can be a point something.
It can be a point something? Okay, I'm going to say 7.8 to 7.8.
Oof. 7.3.
Ooh, at least it's up there. That's not bad.
I'm a little surprised by the Rotten Tomatoes, which is a percentage.
Okay. They're pricks on there sometimes. 62.
No, it's 81.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
I'm really surprised by that. Now, Letterboxd, which is my favorite, it's all user reviews. There's no critics in there. And it's always 3.6. But can you guess me what it is?
3.6.
It's 3.4. You fell for my trap. I love that you fell for that. But,
you she-lob you.
It's below the average for Letterboxd, and I think that says it all for me. I think the fan reaction to this has been, it's It's good. Like, it looks good, but it's not. It's an alright film. What do you think then? Our rating system for Podcast Assemble. What we do is we say, is this better or worse than the most average movie we know and will always probably be Aquaman 2018? Do you think it's better or worse?
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I like it more. Yeah, I like it more than.
It's a better movie.
Yeah,
it's got more to it. The CGI is good. There's no weird octopuses playing drums. There's no need for that stuff.
Amber Heard's not shitting on anyone.
Well,
or whatever she did.
She might still be alive.
She might be still doing it. Yeah, I don't know. Is she in the second one?
300 years in the future, she's just shitting on people still. She is in the second one, but very briefly. You can definitely tell that her scenes were massively cut down.
Yeah, of course.
Massive.
I like the idea of of her not evolving at all, and in 300 years she's still just shitting on people's beds.
She's feral.
Addy told me about that. He sent me a story, and apparently, it was this real big thing of like Jason Momoa kept turning up to set dressed up as Johnny Depp. To like freak her out. I'm like, have you seen Jason Momoa? He dresses like Johnny Depp. That's just what he looks like
Johnny Depp. Yeah.
He's bangles and jangles and leather. Like, it's whatever.
Yeah, right. He is wet Thor. That's all he is.
He is wet Thor.
Spoilers. Okay, what have you got? We didn't really talk about the point of what they were doing in the kingdom. The kingdom was effectively a big gate, a big military compound bunker looking thing, and the whole point of Proximus Caesar is that he's trying to get in there. He's trying to get in there any way he can, and he just can't do it, Regs. He just can't do it.
No.
And yeah, I guess Noah and Freya Allen's mace just sneak up and get in really easily, and it's full of military secrets.
Yeah, but it's also like it's understood that she knows the layout of it. And you kind of don't know how she knows that.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being that she was sent there by whatever is left of the human race who are trying to mobilize and organize a military of some sort.
Rebuild.
Yeah, and try to, get a code key that will then access all the satellites.
I don't know if they're trying to rebuild military-wise. I think they are just trying to find out if there are other humans alive by what was at the end of this film.
Yeah, but I feel like
that's who we are.
Nova's talking about, or May, or whatever the fuck it is, she's talking about war the whole time. She's like, this was our planet, and, we want to take it back. Like,
what is it good?
Do you not understand? If you never read a book, like, at least once an episode, you have to break into song.
I do. I can't help myself. I'm not a good singer. That's why I love doing it.
Clearly.
Fatality.
No shade.
Oh, that was cutthroat. That was like, clearly.
Bit. I mean, you've got a beautiful voice anyway.
It's very sweet of you.
So much so that I have you record things for people I know.
Apparently so, yeah.
She was so happy about that, by the way.
That's wonderful.
Oh, so good.
I'm glad. We'll do another one time.
Yeah.
I guess the only other real things to spoil in this are that Noah beats Primus by Primus. Am I getting that right again? Have I got that wrong? I think
Optimus Primal.
He was Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Primus by the Eagles. So he, like you say, he fulfills his journey and becomes his father.
He does. He gets the power of the birds and
the birds.
Does
and they rebuild their home.
Yeah, and then everybody fucks off.
I kind of like the action scene at the end. It was kind of that was the best bit for me. The tension of what happens is Freya Allen's character, who shall not be called Nova or May, she will be Freya Allen's character because she doesn't actually play anyone. She just plays herself. She blows up the dam that's in front of the the military
like a seawall
compound
sort of thing.
Yeah, and floods it. There's way too much water to flooding through there. Considering if there was that much water, it would have absolutely just washed away.
Probably collapsed
base.
Anyway. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Nonsense. But the tension that was built from, the Eagle clan trying to escape, them, climbing up this massive block of human-made stuff and, using their monkey skills to swing around, ape skills. He was pretty bueno. I enjoyed that a lot. And he was being chased by that gorilla dude who was, pretty badass.
Proximus second. Yeah. It's also good to, have it be not just a typical punchy, fighty sort of ending. Like there's some real threat going on.
Oh yeah, you got the shit
is
kicked out of him.
Unstoppable. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
like the fact that Noah was, he didn't just win. It was like he got the crap kicked out of him, and then Eagles were like, Eagle.
They don't fucking do that.
It's like Turk and JD from Friends, like Eagle.
Wouldn't that be great if animals did that instead of making the noise that an animal would typically make? Like if your cat, instead of going meow, it went cat.
What do you think? What noise would a worm make?
You're welcome, everybody.
This is the weirdest shit you've ever said to me. But all right, I like it. I like it.
Really?
I like it. Did you find the ending satisfying?
Yeah, I came. So no, I'm sorry. That's terrible. Come on, Regs. This is not your show. Remember where you are. Oh, you're guesting.
You go as wild as you want, my man.
Guesting. Yeah. So the climax was just what I needed.
Like what you did there. Oh, the climax.
No, I walked out. I was happy. I enjoyed the film a lot. And yeah, it was a good night at the movies. That's all I'm looking for most of the time.
Great. I agree. I enjoyed it. It could have. I just think it could have. You know what it almost is? It could have been so much more.
Of course, yeah, of course, and you're right. And until you said it, like I could feel it as it was going, and then you said it, you're like it's a hero journey. I'm thinking of the beats. I'm going, it's 100%, even to page number. I reckon,
Probably, absolutely. But I guess the only other question then to ask you before we move on to trivia, true or false, is where does this go next? Now I know I already spoiled this. I shouldn't have guessed immediately, but like, what do you think they go for next? Even what could they name the next one? They've had some great names for these movies.
Yeah. I would say
Journey would be fun. I like what you did there.
Yeah, Journey to the planet, Journey of the Planet of the Apes. But it's more like this will be. I feel like it's going to be Nova, uniting the clans. So uniting
Noah,
uniting the Planet of the Apes or something like that.
So you mean Noah's going to be? Not
what did
Nova,
I say?
Who is Freya Allen's character?
I said no. Yeah, sorry, Noah. Yeah. I think it's going to be about him.
Wouldn't it be nice if they had a face-off between Noah and Nova at the end? That's like the big finale.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she becomes the head of the resistance, the human resistance, and he becomes the new Caesar, the actual new Caesar, and they punch.
I do this really annoying thing. To my partner whenever we're watching a movie and it's like the two like the protagonist and antagonist, they like face off and they have their moment and they're like. It's there, and they're about to fight. I just lean over to her and I go, "Kiss." And she gets really annoyed every single time.
I'm fucking stealing that. That's great.
I hope that's what happens at the end of this movie. I hope they just kiss, and it's weird, and everyone goes, "What the fuck?"
It certainly would work, though, don't you reckon? That's
Oh no, absolutely would not. I've seen the Mark Wahlberg version. Who was not in this movie, so that's the other one. That bad thing about this movie, not enough Mark Wahlberg. All right,
God.
Trivia, true or false, my man. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So, is this trivia true or is it trivia false?
Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun.
I don't know what to do here. I'm lost. You've thrown me. While in the US government bunker, the apes came upon a doll that goes, "Mama," in the same voice that Tyler found in the 1968 film. Is that true or is that false?
Absolutely true.
It is absolutely false. And it is supposed to be to increase the realization that humans were once the dominant species on Earth, because that's a theme of this movie that we didn't really talk about. No one really believes that humans could be intelligent.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely positive that this trilogy is going to end with the spaceship coming back to Earth and effectively being the beginning of the Charlton Heston films.
That's
how I think this is going to end.
I said that to Cable as well, and he was like, "Yeah, I think that's obviously where they're going to go."
You stole that from me. You know you did. Trivia true or trivia false? Director Wesley Ball's pitch for the movie.
Come on, motherfucker!
All right,
you can't say Wesley Ball's.
Director Wesley Testicle. I'm sorry. His pitch for the movie. For the movie was The Road with Apes. Is that true or is that false?
So that's what he said that his
that's his pitch
metric
to the
for
studio.
it was. Okay. Nah. False.
You're right. It was actually Apocalypto with Apes. And I can see that in this.
Yeah, sure. Except with
There's
all
a fair bit of
the
that going on.
anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
I mean, the movie's not that movie's not anti-Semitic. Mel Gibson is.
That's a whole different conversation.
Very, very different.
Let's look at that way. All right. Trivia true or trivia false? There was initially an idea to bring back James Franco for the movie as a distant descendant of character Will Rodman from the first. Is that true or is that false?
Oh, it's probably true, but I wish it wasn't.
It is absolutely false. I made it up. You fell into my trap.
Well done. Well done. You got me.
Fuck James Franco. He's a bad person. Trivia true or trivia false? After landing the lead role of Noah, Owen Teague spent days at a Florida ape sanctuary. Is it true or is that false?
He spent days there, like with them, or just watching them?
Is it true or is it false?
True.
It is true. He got up close and personal with primates, except for the orangutans, which he said smelled terrible, apparently.
Yeah, well,
like
you probably smell pretty fucking bad to them too, mate.
Right. Isn't that like a whole point of the movie? Like, you get your hands off me, you damn dirty. Yeah, it's bad, Owen. Just go home. You've ruined it for everyone. Nobody
Maybe
cares.
just shut up and do the work, you know?
Fucking method actors. Look, ultimately, like, this has got potential to be another fantastic trilogy. Not the best start, in my personal opinion, but, you know, they can do it. They can turn it around. I've got faith in Wesley Testicle.
Don't we all? But, I mean, that's... As those other movies like Rise, what's the middle one?
Dawn. I think that's the wrong way around. It should have been Dawn and then you rise.
Yeah. So Ryan and Dawn. Ryan, and O'Neill and Dawn.
Yeah.
No. So Rise, Dawn, and War, they got consistently better. So
we talk about. Go back and check out our episodes because I actually took a lot more thematically and emotionally out of the first movie. So Rise, I found it's almost like they pitched this, you know, dumb Apes movie and subtly put in a load of themes so the studio didn't realize. And they just happened to be there, and the studio didn't, you know, they would have probably stopped the whole production if they'd have known. But I got a lot more out of that one. So hopefully, you know, they bring some of that feeling and emotion through.
Agreed.
Regs, it has been once again an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being with us. Can you once again spruik yourself, your podcast, the podcasts you've been on, whatever you want, really? We just want more of you.
Sure. You can find all of the plastic that was in my testicles at your mum's house. No, sorry.
Wow.
Heavens above. Yes. The Film Addicts podcast is where you find me and my man Addy. You can also find me at Hit 66 Sound and Screen, which is my film company. Come and check us out. We do interesting shit. We have a studio on the Mornington Peninsula called Cable Sound Studios, where we make music and love and all sorts of beautiful things. And yeah, the podcast that I've been on recently was Sequel Suck Podcast, and also To the End of the Line with Juan and Kike. And they're all good shows. Go and check them out.
Cool dudes who I will absolutely be hitting up and seeing if they want to come on the show at some point.
Oh man, Juan and Kike will do backflips.
Love it. Awesome. Guys, thank you all for sticking with it. We really do appreciate when you do. A big thank you, as always, to Mr. Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode. If you'd like Matt to be part of the podcast team, and you should want him because he is the reason this actually makes sense half the time, because
it fucking sounds good too. Yeah.
We get lost sometimes, and it sounds great too. Get in touch on business at mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out more about his services. If you want to hear some of his work, he's done some great podcasts. He's given up better podcasts than we've probably ever made. You can check out From My Home to Yours. It's an expat repat podcast where Matt and his wife share their experiences and advice for others who want to relocate. They relocated from Australia to Ireland. Pretty much, if you were going to relocate, where would you relocate to, Regs?
Botswana.
Yes. Weird, I was going to say the same thing. If you wanted to do that, though, you get some fantastic tips from Matt and his wife. Go check them out. Go hit him up. Get him as part of your podcast team. Give us 5 stars while you're there. Regs, you said you'd give us 11. We appreciate you for doing that.
Or just steal all your friends' phones and do it on their phones. You got Spotify? Yeah, just give me it for 5 seconds. Beep, 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 beep.
Just 5 seconds. That's all you need, 5 seconds. And pass the pod. If you know someone who might like this geekiness, this absolute nonsense that we do every week, we love it when you do. We've got, hopefully, I was passing it on to all of Dre's relatives at his wedding. So they were all like, I've heard about this. You should let me know what it's called. I was like, they all now know Podcast Assemble. So thank you all for checking us out and passing it on to a friend.
Were they sort of conservative type of people or?
Absolutely not. The opposite. They were all
vagina.
There
you go. That's just all those new listeners out there. You're welcome.
Regs, it's been an absolute pleasure, you derailing me as always.
My gift to you, sir, is always derailment. So thanks for having me. I love being here.
Tally ho.
Tally ho.